Hello everyone, my name is Gio. Welcome to the channel. In today's video, we'll be diving into the dark and disturbing world of true crime as we explore the top 10 most notorious serial killers. Serial killers have haunted the darkest corners of human history, leaving behind trails of horror and mystery. These individuals committed acts so heinous they shocked the world and left lasting scars on society. Please be advised. The content covered in this video includes graphic details that may be disturbing to some viewers. Viewer discretion is strongly advised. Number 10. The Zodiac Killer. Starting off our list is one of America's most chilling and most elusive figures, the Zodiac Killer. Active between 1968 and 1974, primarily in Northern California, the Zodiac terrorized the San Fernando Bay Area with a series of brutal attacks and even more chilling communications. He didn't just kill, he taunted the police and law enforcement by sending a series of cryptic letters, ciphers, and threats to local newspapers. Out of 4 complex ciphers he sent, one remains unsolved to this day. The Zodiac claimed responsibility for 37 murders, but investigators have only confirmed 5 victims. Each attack was marked by a cold, calculated brutality and often left behind a disturbing signature, a crosshair-like symbol that appeared both in his letters and at crime scenes. Despite numerous suspects over the years, including the well-known Arthur Lee Allen, no one has ever been definitively identified as the Zodiac. His true identity remains one of the greatest unsolved mysteries in American criminal history, inspiring countless books, films, and theories. The Zodiac wasn't just a murderer, he was a manipulator of fear, embedding himself into American culture with a series of crimes that decades later still haunt the collective imagination.
San Francisco was terrorized in the late 60s and early 70s by a man who called himself the Zodiac Killer. He claimed 37 murders. Police confirmed at least 6. 4 years ago, the killing stopped, and so did Zodiac's letter. Now there's another letter.
Number 9. H.H. Holmes. At number 9, we go back to the late 19th century to uncover the twisted legacy of a man many consider to be America's first true serial killer, H.H. Holmes. Born Herman Webster Mugget. Say that 3 times fast. Holmes used charm, deception, and sheer ruthlessness to carry out a series of horrifying crimes during the 1893 Chicago World Fair. He constructed what would later be dubbed the Murder Castle, a sprawling 3-story building that appeared to be a hotel on the outside, but was actually a labyrinth of terror. Inside were soundproof rooms, secret passages, trap doors, and even gas lines that allowed Holmes to suffocate his victims undetected. The building also contained a basement, equipped with a crematorium and surgical tables where he could dispose of bodies without raising suspicion. Holmes financed much of this horror through elaborate fraud and life insurance scams, often marrying multiple women under false names, only to make them vanish soon after. Though he confessed to 27 murders, investigators believe the real number could be as high as 200. Many of his victims likely lost to the maze of his custom-built death trap. Before his execution in 1896, Holmes wrote a chilling confession filled with strange, exaggerated claims, further blurring the line between fact, myth, and madness. H.H. Holmes wasn't just a killer. He was a master manipulator and a pioneer of psychological horror, whose crimes predated the term serial killer itself. His story set a grim precedent for what evil in human form could truly look like. Number 8. Dennis Rader, the BTK Killer. Next on our list is Dennis Rader, infamously known as the BTK Killer, an acronym for his method: bind, torture, kill. Rader's crimes haunted the Wichita, Kansas area between 1974 and 1991, and then again in 2004 when he resurfaced after years of silence. Rader was the ultimate wolf in sheep's clothing, a church council president, Boy Scout leader, and a city compliance officer who maintained the image of a devoted family man. Behind closed doors, he meticulously stalked his victims, often breaking into their homes and binding them with ropes before carrying out his sadistic fantasies. He killed 10 people in total, including 2 children, and documented every detail in journals and drawings, which he later referred to as his hit kit. Rader fed off media attention and frequently wrote taunting letters to police and press, stopping for a time but resuming communication in 2004 in hopes of regaining the spotlight. Ironically, it was his own arrogance that led to his capture. When he asked police if they could trace a floppy disk, they lied and said no. He took the bait and sent one, which was tracked to a church computer under his name. Dennis Rader's cold, methodical nature and his ability to compartmentalize his crimes make him one of the most terrifying killers in modern history. His case is a chilling reminder that evil can sometimes wear the most ordinary mask.
All right, Mr. Rader, I need to find out more information. On that particular day, the 15th day of January, 1974, can you tell me where you went to kill Mr. Joseph Otero?
I think it's 1834, Edgemore.
All right. Can you tell me approximately what time of day you went there?
Somewhere between 7 and 7:30.
This particular location, did you know these people?
No, that was part of my, I guess my what you call fantasy. These people were selected.
All right. So you
Okay.
you were engaged in some kind of fantasy during this period of time?
Yes, sir.
All right. Now, when you use the term fantasy, is this something you were doing for your personal pleasure?
Sexual fantasy, sir.
I see. So you went to this residence, and what occurred then?
Well, I had did some thinking on what I was going to do to either Mrs. Otero or Josephine, and basically broke into the house, or didn't break into the house, but when they came out of the house, I came in and confronted the family, and then we went from there.
All right. Had you planned this beforehand?
To some degree, yes. After I got in the house, I lost control of it, but it was, you know, in the back of my mind, I had some ideas what I was going to do, but I basically panicked that first day. So
Beforehand, did you know who was there in the house?
I thought Mrs. Otero and the two kids, the two younger kids, were in the house. I didn't realize Mr. Otero was going to be there.
All right. How did you get into the house, Mr. Wade?
I came through the back door, cut the phone lines, waited at the back door, had reservations about even going or just walking away, but pretty soon the door opened and I was in. He had one of the kids put it out, and then I took him back to the bedroom.
You took who back to the bedroom?
The family to the bedroom, the 4 members.
All right. What happened then?
At that time, I tied him up.
While still holding him at gunpoint?
Well, in between tying and yes. Yeah.
All right. After you tied them up, what occurred?
Well, they started complaining about being tied up, and I re-loosened the bonds a couple of times. Tried to make Mr. Otero as comfortable as I could. Apparently had a cracked rib from a car accident, so I had him put a pillow down for his head. Had he put a, I think he Parker or a coat underneath him. They talked to me about giving the car and whatever money. I guess they didn't have very much money, and there I realized that I didn't have a mask on or anything. They already could ID me. And
All right. What did you do to Joseph Otero Sr.?
Joseph Otero?
Yeah,
Okay.
Joseph Otero Sr., Mr. Otero, the father.
I put a plastic bag over his head and then some cords and tightened it.
Number 7, Richard Ramirez, aka the Night Stalker. Coming in at number 7 is Richard Ramirez, better known as the Night Stalker. Between 1984 and 1985, Ramirez unleashed a wave of terror across California, targeting victims at random in the dead of the night. He was a drifter, with a history of drug abuse and satanic obsession, and his crimes reflected the chaos. He broke into homes, brutally assaulted his victims, and left satanic symbols behind. He didn't discriminate by gender, age, or background. His attacks were unpredictable and fueled by rage. What set Ramirez apart was his total lack of remorse and his disturbing courtroom behavior. During his trial, he flashed pentagrams carved into his palm and famously said, "Hail Satan." Brutality of his crimes, including murder, sexual assault, and child abuse, combined with his theatrical defiance, made him a media spectacle. Ultimately, it was the public who brought him down. After his face was plastered across news stations, a group of citizens recognized him and beat him in the street before police arrived. Convicted of 13 murders, Ramirez died of natural causes in prison in 2013. His name remains etched into American crime history as a symbol of mindless cruelty and satanic delusion.
The horror began in June 1984. Los Angeles was under siege. Death waited in the dark at the hands of a man they called the Night Stalker. After a 14-month reign of terror, he was finally caught. It was only then that his true identity was discovered. His name, Richard Ramirez.
Richard Ramirez's whole trip was to hide in a tree or hide behind a fence and watch his victims at nighttime and wait into the wee hours of the night. And then while they slept, creep in, like a coward and kill them.
Particularly care for people.
In a rare interview, Ramirez refused to discuss his own crimes, but had this to say about serial killers.
A serial killer comes about by circumstances and like a recipe, poverty, drugs, child abuse. These things, you know, contribute to a person, to a person's frustration and anger, and at some point in life, he explodes.
Number 6, Edmund Kemper, aka the co-ed killer. Edmund Kemper, known as the co-ed killer, stands as one of the most intelligent and deeply disturbing serial killers in history. Standing at 6'9" and reported IQ of 145, Kemper's imposing presence masked a lifetime of deep psychological trauma. His crimes began early. At just 15, he murdered his grandparents. After being released from a psychiatric hospital at 21, Kemper began picking up female hitchhikers near California college campuses, eventually killing and mutilating them in gruesome ways. But the most horrifying element of his story lies in its final chapter. Kemper murdered his own mother and her best friend, decapitating his mother and using her head in unspeakable acts. What makes Kemper unique is how articulate and cooperative he was turning himself in. His interviews have been widely used by criminal profilers and inspired characters like Buffalo Bill in Silence of the Lambs. Kemper's lack of emotion and matter-of-fact storytelling makes him especially chilling. His case continues to be studied by the FBI for insight into the minds of killers.
Well, I'm not an expert. I'm not an authority. I'm someone who has been a murderer for almost 20 years.
Like an ordinary person, non-threatening to...
I lived as an ordinary person most of my life, even though I was living a parallel and increasingly sick life, other life. One victim let me back in the car. I locked myself out. She opened the door for me. My gun was under the seat. What in the hell am I doing telling you that? Am I a masochist? Am I looking to be tormented further? I'm trying to show you just how awful this got, how commanding these rages got. I was raging inside. There was just incredible energies, positive and negative, depending on a mood. That would trigger one or the other. And outside, I looked troubled at times. Other times I looked moody. Other times perfectly serene. Not very sane.
Number 5, David Berkowitz, aka Son of Sam. At number 5 is David Berkowitz, better known as the Son of Sam. His killing spree shook New York City to its core between 1976 and 1977. Berkowitz targeted young couples sitting in parked cars walking alone at night or just going about their lives, and he did it with a .44 caliber revolver. Berkowitz murdered 6 people and wounded 7 more, often striking without warning and then disappearing into the night. But it wasn't just the killings that terrorized the city, it was the psychological warfare he waged. He left taunting letters at crime scenes and mailed bizarre notes to newspapers, claiming he was commanded to kill by a demon that possessed his neighbor's dog. The entire city was paralyzed by fear. People avoided going out at night, couples stopped parking, and women dyed their hair or cut it short to avoid matching victims' profiles. The tension was so high, the Berkowitz arrest in August of 1977 felt like the end of a citywide hostage situation. He later admitted that the demon dog story was a hoax, and he killed simply out of hatred and compulsion. Currently serving 6 life sentences, Berkowitz claims to have found religion, but to the public, he's still the chilling face of one of New York's darkest summers.
Good evening. David Berkowitz, 24 years old, a postal worker, walked out of his Yonkers apartment last night, turned the ignition key in his car, and found himself surrounded by police. Well, he said, "You got me." Police say those words ended the biggest manhunt in New York City history with the capture of Son of Sam.
After more than 13 months of following thousands of leads down endless blind alleys, the detectives of the Brooklyn Omega Squad, part of that 300-cop 44-killer manhunt, captured the man they say is Son of Sam. The ice-cold trail heated up suddenly during the past week. A Brooklyn woman who saw a car parked illegally and occupied by a strange-looking man moments before she heard the shots of the last Son of Sam attack finally contacted police.
The man come towards me, and he looked me straight in the face. He looked at my dog, and right here, we crossed each other. So he had his arm straight down. He had a long thing like a bell sticking up his sleeve, and he made a left turn. I heard a boom. I didn't know he was a killer. I didn't know he looked nice.
Police transported David Berkowitz from headquarters to Brooklyn Central Booking. After, my sources say, he confessed to being the 44 killer. After he told them he was a killing machine, ordered by a voice speaking through a neighbor's dog to carry out his bloody outrages against young, pretty women.
Number 4, John Wayne Gacy. Number 4 on our list is John Wayne Gacy. A man on the surface seemed like the friendly neighbor next door. He was a successful contractor, an active member of his local community, and even dressed up as a clown named Pogo for charity events. But beneath that smiling face was a sadistic killer. Between 1972 and 1978, Gacy murdered at least 33 men and boys in the Chicago area. He lured his victims to his home often promising them work. Then he used a trick he called the handcuff game before overpowering, torturing, and eventually killing them. Most of Gacy's victims were buried in a crawl space beneath his house, a gruesome discovery that shocked the world. His calm demeanor and ability to compartmentalize his crimes made him all the more terrifying. In interviews, Gacy never showed remorse. He often shifted blame, insisting he was misunderstood or framed. Despite overwhelming evidence, his case became a horrifying example of how evil can exist in plain sight.
People don't want to know the truth and the honesty of it. If they want to be convinced or brainwashed into what they believe, then fine, then go ahead and kill me. But vengeance is mine, saith the Lord, because you will have executed somebody that didn't commit the crime. When they paint the image that I was this monster who picked up like these altar boys along the street and swatted them like flies, I said, this is ludicrous. Number 3, Jeffrey Dahmer. Coming in at number 3 is Jeffrey Dahmer, the so-called Milwaukee cannibal. Between 1978 and 1991, Dahmer committed some of the most gruesome acts ever recorded, murdering 17 young men and boys, and often dismembering, preserving, or even consuming parts of their bodies. The Milwaukee cannibal. Dahmer's methods were horrifying. He lured victims to his apartment with offers of money, alcohol, or photo shoots, then drugged, strangled, experimented on them in deeply disturbing ways. He kept body parts in his freezer, used acid to dissolve remains, and even attempted to create zombie companions through crude lobotomies. What's even more chilling is how close he came to getting caught multiple times. On one occasion, a 14-year-old victim escaped, only to return to Dahmer by police after being convinced it was a domestic dispute. That boy was later murdered. When he was finally arrested in 1991, police were horrified by what they found in his apartment, including skulls, photographs, and preserved organs. Dahmer was sentenced to 15 consecutive life sentences, but was killed in prison in 1994. Dahmer's case sparked national debates on mental illness, the failures of law enforcement, and how society overlooks marginalized victims, many of whom were people of color.
I desensitized myself to it. I don't know, I went to great lengths. These obsessive desires and thoughts wanting to control them, to, I don't know how to put it, possess them permanently.
And that's why you killed them?
Right. It's a process. It doesn't happen overnight. When you depersonalize another person and view them as just an object.
Number 2, Ted Bundy. And number 2 is Ted Bundy, a name that has become synonymous with deception, charm, and evil. Bundy was a law student, a political campaigner, and by all appearances, a clear-cut, intelligent man. But between 1974 and 1978, he committed a series of horrific murders across multiple states, killing at least 30 young women, though the real number may be higher. He faked injuries or asked for help, luring women to isolated areas before attacking them. His crimes included bludgeoning, sexual assault, decapitation, and necrophilia. He even returned to the bodies of his victims weeks later to perform further acts of desecration. Wow. He escaped from custody not once, but twice, the second time leading to the brutal murders of 2 women at a Florida sorority house and the kidnapping and killing of 12-year-old Kimberly Leach. Bundy represented a new kind of killer, intelligent, manipulative, and media savvy. His televised trial, the first of its kind, turned him into a morbid celebrity, but behind the courtroom smiles was a remorseless predator. He was executed in 1989, but continues to fascinate the public to this day. A reminder that evil doesn't always look like a monster.
I guess I should just ask, how are you doing up here?
It's a short question deserving a long answer. I'm doing well. I feel good. Working hard on my case. Need a lot more sun and a lot more fresh air, but other than that, I'm doing okay.
Do you get fresh air, sun? Do you get out?
Well, I get to go to the library. It's a 50-yard walk from here across the parking lot to the library. That's my fresh air.
Do you have more freedom at Utah State Prison?
Well, when I was on the main line, as they say, in medium security, I had a lot more freedom, you bet. Big yard to walk in, and basketball court and handball court, you know. Your standard medium security life in a prison is a fairly decent existence, relatively speaking, to a county jail. County jails are by and large pretty confined and inhibiting sort of places.
Why did you decide to defend yourself?
I began thinking about that way back in Utah. I had a year to study criminal law in action, and I have a lot of I'm a very biased person, and I have a lot of strong opinions about how things should be done. And when I came here, I think that my opinions were established at the point where the method that my attorneys wished to impose here and my own did not agree, and we couldn't coexist. And theirs were right for them, and mine are going to be right for me. I have the greatest amount of confidence that, at least in the preparation stage, that my ideas will work. And believe me, I'm not standing here alone. I'm just called to half a dozen attorney friends of mine today. Every day I get input. Every day I ask questions. But the reason I went on my own is because I just felt it was time. I felt it was right. I wanted to get involved. I wanted to become a part of my defense because I am such a part of it. I mean, I obviously I'm going to bear the consequences, so why not bear the responsibility of seeking my own acquittal and sustaining my own innocence.
Number 1, Gary Ridgway, a.k.a. the Green River Killer. And finally, at number 1, Gary Ridgway, also known as the Green River Killer, the most prolific confirmed serial killer in U.S. history. His killing spree spanned from 1982 to 1998, with a staggering total of 49 confirmed kills. Gary Ridgway himself confessed to killing over 70 women. Gary primarily targeted sex workers and vulnerable women near Seattle, Washington. He strangled them, often with ligatures, and disposed of their bodies in remote wooded areas near the Green River. Many of the victims remain unidentified for decades. What makes Ridgway especially horrifying is how long he evaded capture, despite being questioned early in the investigation, and it wasn't until 2001, thanks to advances in DNA technology, that he was finally arrested and linked to several murders. Cold, emotionless, and eerily methodical, Ridgway claimed he killed so many women he lost count. In court, he showed little to no remorse, even as he recounted brutal details with chilling detachment. He was spared the death penalty in exchange for providing detailed confessions and locations of the victims' remains. Gary Ridgway is currently serving life without parole. His case is a haunting example of how calculated evil can operate in plain sight for years undetected. These 10 individuals represent some of the darkest minds in criminal history. Their actions shocked the world, devastated countless families, and forever changed the way law enforcement and society confront violent crime. Understanding these cases isn't about glorifying the killers. It's about remembering the victims, recognizing the warning signs, and never forgetting the lives affected by their brutal crimes. If you found this video informative, please like, comment, and subscribe for more deep dives into true crime. If you guys would like to leave a comment, let me know what you would like to see in a future video. I'd appreciate it.